Welcome to the Arcfluence podcast, where we talk about how design impacts the way we live, work, and invest. I'm Nick Karakaian, your host, and with me today, as usual, is Paul Fatkins. Welcome, Paul.
Good to be here.
Yeah.
Although I do live here.
You do.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. I thought it was going to be awkward.
I know. Well, we'll be in our new office, though, for, probably not the next one, but hopefully 2 podcasts from now, we'll be set up in our new space.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking forward to that. That's my thing that I'm looking forward to.
We're all looking forward to it, Paul.
I'm counting the days, but it's also frustrating because, like, basically everything's approved, but we don't have a date yet.
Right.
So
we just need the closing date. It'll happen.
Yeah.
But let's get into the show, Paul.
Well, we're not going to be leading it, though.
No. We actually have, you guys all know Danny. You've heard me mention him before. He is going to be on the podcast today and interviewing us.
So, hi, I'm Danny Porter. I get mentioned on the podcast. I want to hear. We've published 70 episodes. Like we have over 100 pieces of content on Arcfluence since we started, and we've talked to a lot of people. And when we first pitched the idea of doing a podcast as an architecture firm, I mean, obviously it's just one small part, but I've always loved the medium. You've been involved in podcasting for a long time, Nick, and you guys just have a great.
Well, mostly my wife. Yeah. I'm more of the side, the passenger in this race car.
But it's a great way to talk to people. So I think, and just to hear all these voices, I have learned so much about this field, and this is a lot.
Do you know what's funny? They don't teach any of that to you.
Correct.
In school.
Correct.
Instead, they're like, you need to do this form part T, and we need it tomorrow at 8:00 in the morning. Go.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, what? And then you stay up all night, like gluing together sticks of wood and a museum board.
So I'm just wondering, we started the podcast as a trial, almost 2 years ago, maybe a year ago, maybe
over
little
2
longer.
years ago.
It's like 2.5.
2.5. My goodness.
Yeah.
And we're still doing it. And I guess I would open the question to both of you
because it's one of the reliefs I get from you to take a little time and have some fun chat.
I'm just showing up and having a conversation with my friends, so it's fine.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's a fun time. It's relaxing.
What are some of your biggest moments, takeaways from this podcast that you've really that are the reason why you keep doing it? Like what that keep you going with it?
I think we really. Paul, did you want to say something?
I like to personally, I just like to share, from the experiences that I've had. Because like I said, in school, you don't get taught certain things, and you kind of learn along the way. And so really for somebody to have a true understanding of what it is to be an architect, you have to go and do it, because you don't get that from school. Cincinnati was a little bit better. I'm very grateful and happy and don't regret. I mean, like Florence would have been great to go back. I'm sure Nick had a great time going back a second time. But I did get to go and do internships. So I was an intern during certain periods of time where I stopped school and I went and worked. And again, like that was critical because you actually then gain some of that experience. So for me, coming on the show and talking about things, it's nice. It's almost like kind of like giving back. Like you said, if somebody in school is listening to this, or I don't know, it's also just an interesting journey. Like there's certain choices that I've made, like going to Cincinnati. So like reliving some of that stuff is like also like, oh yeah, I did do that. Like, oh yeah, I'm really glad I did that. So that's what I enjoy about it. And that's what I really like still doing about it. And like Nick said, you're chatting with your buddies because you guys were there at the beginning and you're still here,
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity, whether it's a guest on the show or just Paul, myself, Nino talking. We were able to bring up just some nuances of the things that we love and care about. So we get to chat through some stuff. But
yeah, and when we have the guests on, it's actually nice to learn about some new things because we've had some interesting guests that have thrown some stuff at us where it's like, oh yeah, like I didn't really think about that.
I got to tell you, when we interviewed Fox in the Snow,
yeah.
I got a tingly, and I'm like, you know what? I feel like Guy Raj interviewing how we built this and just going through the life story of a successful entrepreneur. And I'm like, that was a lot of fun for me. But I also didn't realize there was going to be so many benefits to starting a podcast. Just growing relationships and how that would, lead to projects and work and and that sort of thing. So it's been fun.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best communication mediums of our age in 2026. It is a way to really have a conversation, not in a social media snippet, not in a TikTok 30 seconds, capture their attention or they're gone. It is a deep dive. You get to have a real conversation about real things. One of my favorites, and I want to hear some of your favorite episodes. I really loved the episode with one of your mentors, Bill Griffith.
Yeah.
And what I liked about it was I got to see.
I grew up with him.
Yeah. You grew up with him.
He was like a second father.
What'd you call him, Mr. Griffith?
Mr. Griffith.
Mr. Griffith.
That's because that's what I knew him as.
The Mr. Griffith show.
It was hard.
And that and
just call me Bill.
It's
like, no, I can't. I've called you Mr. Griffith literally for 30, 40 years. So
what was fun for me about it was I get to see this snapshot of what architecture is today, but talking to Mr. Griffith and Dean Mister from Kent State University, who we had on as well, the whole history of architecture is fascinating. When you go, and Paul, you talked about it on the Italy episode too, where you went back generations. You went back to what architecture was in the earliest days before any computers.
Well, architecture has been around a long time, but architects technically haven't. They were master builders. I mean, how old is?
Yes, it's like you were a part contractor, part project manager, part builder, part like everything. You were the guy in the middle. I love the story from the Florence cathedral building where Brunelleschi basically like called in sick, and because he had a beef with Ghiberti, and he's like
couldn't figure it out.
Well, it was his design. And the other guy, they're like, the commission's like, well, we're still going to have this guy be the chief and you're going to be like his secondary person.
Okay, have him do it.
Yeah. Well, he called in sick on the most important day of install for these rings that go around the dome that like actually are very critical for supporting the dome and holding in the forces structurally. And he's like, oh no, I'm sick. I'm on my deathbed. Like I'm dying. I can't come to the site and tell you how to do it. Yeah. Oh, you have this other guy who's so much better than me. I'm the second architect. He's the first one.
Yeah.
Have him do it.
Yeah.
So,
or put me in charge, and then I'll come in.
Yeah. So then the next day he recovered by some miracle, and the first guy was gone, and he came back and they installed and finished the church, and end of a great story. So, and it goes all the way. Yeah, their beef was like legendary.
Italian politics, such good storytelling.
It's a lot of fun. The history of stuff is. So
there's a psychology to architecture, going back to Danny's point.
It creates feelings in people.
Sure. So I mean, the way I don't even look at when I design something, it's not me looking at this thing that's a scaled down version of something that we're designing that's going to be built. I'm designing this thing around myself in real time, like I'm building it around me, right? Which is why I'm also getting excited with technology, because these tools are allowing me to multiply and truly simulate what I've been seeing in my head for the last 20 years. It's really cool.
It helps you visualize quickly, right? So, and people tend to be more visual than, like word based. If you send somebody a text or an email, like you obviously are one of these people where it's like if you get a text of something, you're like, oh my gosh, give me a summary or something.
A text is fine, but I just don't want to have a conversation via text, or and I don't want to read a book in an email. Yeah. If give me an update and an action item, let's go. But if we're gonna talk things through and
but if you see something, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you see something, you know almost instantly whether it's proportioned correctly.
Yeah,
of course.
You have a response to it, and we need to change this or that to make it better.
Yeah,
like instantly you have that feedback, because again, when you have that visual representation, it sparks something in you.
And to your point, I want to communicate it with the person face to face or on a video call. Writing it in an email or a text, sometimes that doesn't always get translated to what I'm feeling and seeing.
I would agree with you, and I think the visual tools that are available now have come leaps and bounds from a couple of years ago. Even I mean, like from when I was doing stuff in Chicago 10 years ago, compared to now, it's night and day, right? And a couple of years ago, it's like I said, leaps and bounds from where it was. So it's incredible what you can do on the visual front with things and do it quickly. right? And do iterations of stuff quickly.
Yeah,
So-
I remember now that we're doing a lot of luxury homes. I'm excited because, when we first got started years ago, we had a different type of clientele. Budget was the primary focus. We had to keep things truly simple and not so exciting. And now that we have some clients with budgets who really want to create these special and grand spaces with these amazing amenities, there's a lot of excitement in that alone.
Sure,
right?
sure. And again, you speak to budget, right? It's like you have a conversation with a client 3 years ago, and it's like, well, we can do an image and show you what it's going to look like, but it's going to take us a week to do it in 40 hours, and it's going to cost you a few $1,000s. And they're just like, yeah, we're not going to do it. We're not going to spend that money. Like,
not anymore.
We trust you that it's okay and it's going to be okay. Like, we'll rely on your drawing to just execute. Right.
And it's so funny because I started out in Google, right, where there was no budget. If they wanted to, I remember designing corridors and where we had a telescope at the end of the thing, and like just these wild things there on, where we could go look at the stars. And like, and sometimes we have these great ideas and we explored a little bit and we pulled the plug and it wouldn't happen, but they had the funds to experiment and be thoughtful about that process. And until recently, we really haven't had any clienteles that were like that had that process. But I think now that that's changing along with technology, this is just like a supercharged engine that allows us to really be thoughtful and have a lot of fun with how the occupants are experiencing these spaces. That makes them more productive, that makes them healthier, that brings longevity to their life, that brings more success to their life. It's really changing the game on a massive scale. Yeah. And I think for mass adoption, it's probably still going to take several years for it to happen. But I think just architecture alone, the industry itself is going to change over the next decade.
Oh, but to your point, you still have to have a certain experience and knowledge. Just because you have some tool that you might be able to kind of leverage and position yourself better, like a small firm compared to a larger firm, sure. But if you don't have that experience, you don't know what you're looking at. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to guide and steer the ship.
Well,
you're going to end up hitting an iceberg and sinking in the middle of the ocean.
This is a tool.
It's a tool.
The tools augment a subject matter expert. Well, let me jump on that to a question for Paul, because Paul, you've worked at the large architecture firm. You've got experience in Chicago. You're launching and running your own firm for the last 2 years, and you're watching the technology change over the last 20 years. We mentioned the conversation with Bill Griffith, which really put it in perspective from pencil and paper to today. But what have you seen changed, and where do you see the industry going?
I think it's a little bit of a guessing game still, right? And it goes back to that expectation thing that I was talking about, right? I have a certain expectation with some of these tools that are being developed and worked on, right? But I mean, like, there's still gaps. Things are still not quite there. But looking back at where I started 20 years ago, even when I was doing an internship from Kent State, and I worked at Cedarwood Architectural, and we were doing stuff in CAD. I mean, like, the way I would describe that is like brutal and painful compared to now. It was a completely different world of working.
Well, you're drawing in 2D versus 3D.
Of course. And the amount of just like time, right? I think the biggest thing that these tools give us is more time for other things. So that's the biggest asset that we're gaining by using the new technologies and tools and systems and AI processes and whatever it is that you're using that's new and the latest and greatest. It's giving you time back. Even our scanner, the whole reason that we bought our new scanner, one of the biggest reasons that we bought it was the time factor. Because not only are we getting a better product in terms of the data that we receive when we do this reality capture and we are looking at existing conditions of a space, but the time it takes to capture that data is 3-4 times faster than our old system. Our old system, if I wanted that same level of quality, we would be there for the entire day just scanning a single family home that's like 2,000 square feet
Remember that
compared to now where it's like we can do it in an hour or two.
I can't remember if it was the Matterport or it was one of our first scanners. And we went to this 8,000 square foot home in New Albany.
It was the Matterport.
It was the Matterport.
Yeah.
It took us
It was
8 hours to scan the house.
Yeah. It was rough.
And I was just like,
It was really rough.
I'm out.
The client, the client I think felt bad on that one, and they like bought us dinner, and they like went out and ordered like some sub sandwiches or something from Potbelly,
and we just wanted to work on a big house in New Albany, so we're like, we'll take it.
Yeah, but halfway through measuring that, we're like, oh man, why is this taking so long? Like we wanted to get out of there. It was painful. Yeah. So that's the biggest thing that I've seen from where things started to now is that you just gain back time for other things. So like I said, the rendering side of things, right? To generate something that you can represent visually, the process to do that can be done within a day easily, right? Once you have a foundation to plug in, and it doesn't have to be a foundation where it's like everything's fully thought out. It's got to be a pretty solid view that you're working with to feed into the system.
Yeah.
But if you have something that is, to a certain point, it's very easy to generate that image within a day. Whereas before, you were at that same point 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And to generate the image, you're working on it for a week.
Paul,
it wouldn't be as good as what you're getting now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ran a whole lab of computers.
Oh, yeah. We had the farm. And we actually called them by like animal names. So we had like a cow, a chicken, a goat. That's fun. And so like that was the farm. And you would, to process some of these things, you would send it off to the farm, or you would actually use distributed rendering where all of the different computers, servers were contributing to render one image. So it's kind of like AI now where it's like you have this network of computers that are all linked together and they're all there's this massive data center that's like processing all this stuff. That we had a mini version of that to like do the renderings back in Chicago. And we called it the farm. That was like the mini, it was a server stack. Anyway, yeah. So the tools for me, and then where things are going to wrap up the question or the answer to the question, as far as where things are going, it's really hard to predict. I think, again, there's so many tools that have been introduced.
The moon, Paul, the moon.
We'll see. There'll be more tools that get introduced. And then honestly, I think just the tools that are there now will just continue to improve. But I don't know to the same extent in terms of speed of improvement, because I think there's a lot of resistance now to these data centers. And the scale of data centers that have grown over the last couple of years is like double, tripled, right? The capacity.
Well, it's all about
these
power.
Places.
I mean, you're right.
And I don't think that's going to continue. So I think we'll slow down a little bit in the next couple of years, and people will really just zero in on the tools that are existing to improve them.
I think that there's a power issue because AI is essentially unlimited as long as it has the power to power it.
Well, and I'll say as well, on a laptop now, a home laptop, you can run a large language model that's as powerful as ChatGPT was 2 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they're getting more efficient and more local, and that's great for proprietary information and even images. And but that's going to be, I think, local is going to be a big thing too. The open source competition.
I don't see something though where some inexperienced kid out of college, boy, girl, whoever, can just like sit down at a laptop, type a few things, and then just have a project like that. That's not going to happen, right? Like in the next few years, it's not going to be so powerful and amazing that anybody, one person shops can like all of a sudden leverage these tools and just like be these godsends. Like, oh my gosh, so I'm so thankful that you designed this whole 50,000 square foot facility for me. That's not going to happen.
We're also seeing municipalities that typically are ran by one or two people, like these townships or these counties, these smaller counties with not a lot of population, not a lot of things going on, utilizing these tools that then allow them to be more effective, which allows them then to have more robust standards, which now is creating the call to action for even residential properties to be stamped and reviewed by licensed architects.
Again, it goes back to the time thing. I think more people are going to get more time, and they'll be able to devote time to other things like developing standards or whatever it is, right? So, I think people are just going to become not necessarily more efficient, but essentially they'll have the ability to devote, because everything takes time, right? Okay, hey, Paul, do this image for the client so that we can have some idea what it looks like. Hey, even like I said, now it may take me a day to do that, but I still got to put time into it. So I think that's the biggest thing going forward is just everyone's going to have more time available for whatever, right? Thinking about how you enter a space, thinking about how you're stacking the spaces, whatever it is, like you'll have more time to think about that stuff versus, oh, I'm just trying to get this out and get this permit approval. I need to get this done. That goes out the door and becomes less of a burden. And then you have more time to create a better product.
Yeah. And to my point earlier, it's also going to give time to the policy makers, which I think we're going to have more rigid rules. So I don't think that someone out of school is going to be able to jump into.
I know that's extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think overall it's going to be an adjustment period like any disruptor. And then it'll have its positives and it'll have its negatives.
I think that's why people are so scared of it too, because they think it is going to be something where anybody can it like replaces everybody's job, right? And somebody who has no experience and no idea what they're doing can just jump in and do whatever, be it a code developer person or a program language person or whoever it is. That's what everyone gets so scared about, I think,
What I would say to that is that a large language model, any next token prediction model is not an oracle. You don't ask it a question it doesn't know. It's very good at mapping a space, giving you options, being a cartographer. So I want to hear, you guys both have different strengths and you've always played off of one another. Walk me through that a little bit. Like when you think,
so you want to open that can of worms?
Sure. Yeah. How does the team, you're building a team and everyone has different strengths and different something to bring. Nick, you've been seeing that and architecting that. Paul, when you introduce yourself and you're among other architects, where do you see yourself? What do you,
when you're on a team, like different people have different perspectives and everyone has a different way of looking at a problem. So again, like I said before, we're kind of problem solvers. And to create the best solution, you really need to sit down, have discussions, and hear all viewpoints, right? Feed into what is possible to come out for that solution. And then you kind of dissect. And if there's disagreement, fine, there's disagreement. You talk through it and you work through it. At the end of the day, you're going to get a much better product. If a single person is sitting down, it's like even back to the AI thing, right? If someone's trying to plug something into AI and it's just them doing it, they're the ones reviewing it and that's it. They're the only ones looking at it. So AI is going to spit out whatever it's going to spit out based on whatever it learns from and blah, 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 blah. But if you don't have a couple of people feeding into that review and that restructuring and that adjustment, you're just not going to have a good product at the end of the day or a good solution at the end of the day. So it's critical. Nick and I are very different and we disagree on quite a bit.
Very different.
But that's a strength because his viewpoint is on the other side of the fence from mine. And again, that allows us to explore more options, which then will result in a better project at the end of the day.
No, I'm Paul and I have known each other, Danny, we've known each other for over 20 years, right? Yeah. So there's a caveat to like, I pretty much have seen your ups and downs. I know your dirtiest, darkest secrets, right?
What?
I guess my point to that is I've met a lot of design professionals over the decades. Paul's one of the most talented people, like well-rounded in all facets.
Yeah, but I have blind spots, right?
You do. Yeah. Oh, of course you do, buddy. Yeah. But
so do you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Why don't you let me do my thing here?
Go ahead.
So I was giving you a compliment.
Let's do a whole segment on blind spots.
But I chose Paul because of his abilities and talents. So I lean on him for a lot of the technical stuff. But he's also a practician. Like he will get things done and he'll look into it and he's not going to just put his stamp on a set of drawings without making sure that it's right. So yeah, I'm definitely more of the risk taker. I like to dream a little bit harder than Paul does. I'll take some chances. I also really like to have the viability of a project from the financial piece of it and from the experience piece of it. Whereas Paul just wants to make sure it's safe, it stands forever. It does look beautiful, he wants that too, but like I'm making sure that this makes sense culturally, socially, financially, like, right? There's a lot of other aspects to a building.
Funding is always an issue. It's always been an issue from day one. Like 20, 30 years ago when I started working in firms, like financials were always like key, you know. A lot of projects would either die or get like greatly reduced, you know.
We are in contract to close on our office, right? So that space will be able to accommodate about 15 to 18 people comfortably. I think that that's a good starting point. I also think that a small remote team is a wise thing to do because there's talent all over the country and all over the world that can contribute to amazing architecture. So that won't limit us to 15 to 18. We have plenty to grow. I think that Columbus is we're kind of won the lottery by being here. This is a unique, growing, robust city in a region where a lot of people are flocking to because of the low cost of living and the opportunities that are available. So I think that there's some development in our future as a firm. I'm doing a development project. And I have my rental portfolio outside of this, but I think we're going to incorporate some of that into the company, so that we can fund our own projects and do some more creative, exciting things to showcase our work. I'm not opposed to doing something that's going to help humanity, like using technology to do some type of modular disaster relief housing, which could potentially lead to closed environments, which would eventually lead us to the moon, or other types of extreme environments where we could have housing and exist as humans and thrive. So I think that there's just a lot of opportunities, and I don't want to take anything off the table. And I think I'd like to start with changing the skyline here at home.
Yeah, anything and everything is possible. Anything and everything is on the table. So I think we'll navigate it a day at a time. I see in the future, you know, just in general, I think more specialties are going to come into play. I know
Absolutely.
We want to bring Nino over in a couple of years' time. So I know like that's already been discussed at some point. We'll see what happens with Nino and his path. But you know, we've mentioned that a couple of times here and there. And then, you know, public sector work and other sectors, I think we'll try to dive into a little bit more. So like in the next few years, like that's definitely what I see on the horizon. Remote work, yeah, I mean, that's always an option. It's like, it's painful at times. There is a purpose for it. There is a benefit to it. There's a lot of stuff that comes with it as far as like negatives too. So it's one of those delicate things. The reason why getting an office has been like a push recently is because there's a lot of benefits to having the office. So having a team locally, I think is a huge strength. You know, because again, like where are we doing all of our work? In the area. So to have people in the area, I personally feel would be a little bit more beneficial. Yeah, there's still talent everywhere that we can seek out, but that's secondary for me. Once we have the office, I want to fill the office. That's the primary goal over the next couple of years.
Yeah.
So, and seriously, reach out to Elon. Say, hey, let's come on the podcast. Nick wants to talk about moon bases.
I think we could start with one of Elon's
just send him an email.
Leaders or
I'm on X, so I'll send him a note.
Just say, hey,
you know him.
I do, yeah. Mm-hmm. I know of him, yeah.
He replies to random people sometimes. You never know. Reach out. I'm serious. Do it.
I am really excited in that vein.
And if he comes on the show, like someone's buying me a bottle of bourbon or something,
I'll buy you a bottle of bourbon, Paul.
We've got some great episodes coming up. If you're here in the next week, I'm excited about a content series that we're starting about the communities of Central Ohio. We've launched one, German Village. We have great pictures on there. Nick got out there and got some shots.
I took pictures.
Nick took pictures.
These are my pictures.
We're going to do some. I mean, we're going to look at the properties that
Nick
Arcfluence
took the pictures?
Yeah. He did, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I did some
You're
work
welcome.
on them. Yeah, they were good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait.
I saw them and I'm like, they're good pictures. But
you're brilliant. You're brilliant.
But as soon as I heard Nick took them, I'm like, oh, now I look at them differently. That's all.
Getting back on track.
So Nick sent me the pictures, and then I cropped them and did some color enhancement, and we put them on the German Village.
I thought it wasn't the plan. You were gonna go with your camera and all that.
I was going to come in. I wasn't able to. I came down with
the flu.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the cool thing. We can always take more pictures.
Sure.
So I just wanted to get this rolling. So we're excited about this campaign because we're really going to dive in. We're going to be interviewing Izzy, a local realtor who's extraordinary. We're also going to be now just diving into the architectural aspects of things. What's bringing value? We're going to really dig into curb appeal, obviously, since this is a high level look at these neighborhoods, the schools, the people, like the culture that's being created organically in these neighborhoods, and how that's spilling out into adjacent neighborhoods and streets and corridors, and how that's interacting with the new zoning, and how the city is truly evolving, which I just love to talk about because I've always wanted to. When we were in college, I have my master's degree in urban planning, and we designed this city in China, this make-believe city, because at the time China was doing all the, using most of the steel resources and yada, yada, yada. Anyways, I didn't pick the site, but we created this imaginary city, this future, this utopia that had electric vehicles and rooftop gardens and, this beautiful community. And I think that that's still on the table, except we don't need to just start from scratch. That's not practical. We can incorporate this ideology into our current neighborhoods and cities that are thriving, which we'll scratch the surface on that. But for anyone who's thinking about moving to Columbus, they're going to get a really intimate snapshot of what it's like to live in these neighborhoods and the experience they'll get by existing here.
That was a great synthesis. Yeah. Well, is there anything, I'd like to open the floor, anything you'd like to leave listeners with as we're moving forward? I think I like where this episode was. It wasn't just a look back. We're looking forward. I mean, this is what are the next couple of years going to look like? Who are we going to have on the podcast? And I want to ask people that are listening too. We have an email address. It's team@arcfluence.com. If you email that, it'll come straight to us. If you'd like to suggest an episode or be on the podcast, I think
that's not a bad idea.
Send a note. Yeah, send a note. And let us know what you'd like to hear about. I'm excited about the neighborhood series and having some of the names we're going to have on soon.
We should solicit and ask some of our AIA folks and friends for some ideas as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good idea.
Shout out to Cran. You guys are amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, I like that idea.
Great.
There's a few ideas I have for maybe I should email team at Arcfluence?
Team at Arcfluence. I think Paul's the only one not on team at Arcfluence. It's just you and me, right?
Let's just keep him off for now.
Keep him off. Yeah.
I don't want to be on it.
Well, that's where we've been getting a lot of young people have been emailing about internships and
yes.
Yeah.
And while we don't have the office space yet, we'll probably consider that for 2027.
Oh, that gives me 2027's.
We'll probably tap into Cincinnati's network too.
Oh, yeah, good idea.
Yep. So we'll do a co-op program where we have a student come in.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. I would like to ask you both a question. It's a really, and Nick, this is another one you asked, so I'm stealing your questions, but that's okay. They're right back at you. For young people that are getting involved in architecture and design and investment today in 2026, which is a crazy year, technologically, environmentally, it's just a different universe than what we grew up in during the 2008 financial crisis, is when we were coming out of college. What advice would you give now young people that want to look at where you are today? Because it's easy to look back. You looked at people that were in firms, starting their own firms. They seemed like they were on top of a mountain. And you're like, how do I get there? What advice would you give a young person today?
I had a young person who was in their undergrad ask me the same question, or ask me for some advice. And he was debating on going into the master's program because he wasn't sure that he wanted to be an architect and what the rest of his life looked like. And he didn't necessarily had confidence in the industry because of all the changes that are happening. And there's also the aspect of how much education is costing these days, right? And he would have been going into debt for this. So he wanted to travel the world. And I said, I think that's a fantastic idea. I think when you're 20 years old, you don't know what you don't know, right? You don't even know yourself. You haven't even become that person yet. So I feel like that taking a break, if you're not convinced and you don't have conviction on doing this thing, if your heart's not in it, then you might be pushing something that is not going to be to your benefit. I rather you jump into something that you're passionate about, so that you can, compete and be a player. And maybe he will be, if he goes and discovers. So I'm like, you should travel, you should see the world, you should build your network of people. Relationships are really going to be more of a catalyst for change than listening to a podcast or a piece of information here or there. These relationships and these opportunities that can be created through these relationships is what's going to move the needle for you mostly in your life, especially when you're younger. So that's what I told him. I go, find out what you really want, what drives you, what energizes you. If you love this, and listen, it is okay not to, but it's also okay to absolutely love it, because listen, if you love this, you literally have the ability to change the world. You can change someone's life just by designing a house, but you can literally change the world, but on a massive scale. But when you start thinking about how architecture and impacts culture and people's lives and their productivity and their health, like there's a power in that, and there's excitement. There's something that really, I love doing this stuff. So I think that if you feel that way, then you should probably pursue that, because what you do is going to carry you through hopefully a very long life of fulfillment. So that's my advice.
It's great advice.
Yeah.
No, I really like that, Nick. And it's because as a designer, this is when I was doing my user experience degree, they talked about how designers have a responsibility. You're designing something that a human being will actually use
And see every day.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's like you would tell them not to give up, because even if you say you go in to study the field of architecture and that's what you're doing, look at Nick's path. It's not traditional at all. Like, if you could close your eyes.
Correct.
If you could close your eyes and put a list of jobs up that are related, not completely divorced from architecture, but related in some, whether it's like doing some contracting stuff, some general contracting stuff, or stuff in the real estate market as a realtor, or being on HGTV. You did the first season of Beach Flip. Again, if you put a bunch of, and you closed your eyes and just threw a dart out there, that was like Nick's path, So like, it's to this, whoever you were talking to.
To be fair, I did preface that I am not like most architects.
Yeah. But he is passionate about it, and he's found his way. I guess my advice to whoever he was talking to, or whoever this person is like, don't give up. And even if you study architecture and you're like, well, I'm not super passionate, I don't necessarily love it, there's so many like side related things to the field of architecture that you can go off and do and be successful in. It's not necessarily like you have to sit down and be an architect at a desk designing stuff or designing spaces. You can do something on the real estate side of things. You could have investment portfolio of properties and projects going that route.
You should do that regardless.
I mean, I'm just saying there's a bunch of different things you can do. Like our one client, I'm not going to say any names or companies, but our one client is actually, he studied as a planner. He has a certification as a planner. He's gone through and done that whole process, but now he's working for a developer in an investment group and owns part of that business and company. And he's coming to us, and that's why he really appreciates us, because it's like the thoughtfulness and the effort that we put into what we're doing. He sees it because he's done it firsthand and he has that experience. But is he sitting at a desk every day, like doing urban planning and drawings and stuff like that? No, he found his own path and his own thing, and that's what he's doing and pursuing. It's 100% connected and related to his field of study that he did. So even if you're not completely like sold on, well, I want to be an architect, you could still go off and study, but then veer off and do something related to it. So don't give up on it. And it's like, keep just marching along and putting in that daily effort.
Also good.
Well said, Paul.
Yeah.
Well, it's multidisciplinary, and it may be the most multidisciplinary.
There's so much related to the field of architecture, and there's so many different people. You have to have a team of people to, a village to create a project. I mean, you really do.
And don't wait to find that team.
Yeah. But I mean, you could be any part of that puzzle, right? You can be over here, over there. It doesn't matter, right? It's all related to the field of architecture. And they're very different jobs and very different roles and responsibilities.
Well, gentlemen, Anything you'd like to leave us with? Do you want to close us out? What would you like to leave our viewers as we move forward and move past our 70 episodes and into the future of the Arcfluence?
I feel like this could be 2 episodes. This is a long episode.
We're gonna cut all the good stuff. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're still with us, team@arcfluence.com. Send us your ideas, your notes, your thoughts, your dreams.
Yeah.
Mom, I'm holding you to it too. You have to send something in as well. And thanks for being a supporter for the last 2.5 years. You're amazing.
Yes, thank you for being our listener.
Yeah, I don't know. Any closing advice?
I think I gave my biggest advice there is you can take that into any industry and any mindset where I truly think that happiness and fulfillment will come if you're chasing something that you love. And I think that if you truly do like what you're doing, you're going to be better at it. And I think that you're gonna attract more bees with honey. So also be a good person.
Well, I like your honey analogy. Like, look for the positives and everything, right? That's my closing advice. Like, there's always going to be a negative to deal with, and there's always going to be negative out there. That's life. So latch on to the honey, the sweetness, something that's positive that will drive you.
Yep.
Did you know that honey never goes bad? They found honey from, you know what? I'll cut that out, but it's really interesting. They found honey, they found honey from like ancient times. It was just crystallized, and you could literally
re-energize.
We got another 40 minutes. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, we're going to go into that. Yes.
Wine stays true too, right? As long as it's preserved in a certain way, it can last for centuries.
A cool, dark place, and the cork has to stay moist. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you both for having me on the podcast and me for keeping us on track, on topic through the last
if we want to call it
minutes.
that.
So thank you.
Hey, listeners, thanks so much for joining us on this.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Well, I was going to say, we look forward to your feedback as we transition into this new era of Arcfluence and as our team grows. We're probably going to be hearing some new voices and maybe even seeing our faces as we want to add a video component to all this stuff as well. So, yeah. And with that, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
This has been the Arcfluence Podcast. As always, you can get more information and additional content on arcfluence.com. Please subscribe on the platform of your choice and leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you.